Hi, this is a video assist for the antlers for the deer snuggly. Okay, using brown yarn, your 4.5mm hook, do a slip knot and crochet 2 or chain 2. Then the first round will be 5 single crochets into that first chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I don't need this in my way so much. And then I'm going to use a different color piece of yarn for my stitch marker. And I like to mark the last stitch of the row. So pull that through. So that's our first round. The second round we're going to do an increase, and it'll be 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then move my yarn. And I like this because then you get a bar for every 2 rows. Makes it easy to count. Okay, so now for rows 3 through 6, you're just going to do 1 single crochet each stitch from the previous row around. And it'll make a little antler nub. Okay, so that is 10 for row 3. And I'll bring up my marker. Okay, so keep doing 10 single crochet around to row 6. Then you're going to make 4 of these, 2 with long tails, 2 that don't need tails. And the reason for this is the one without a tail will be attached next to one. So you're going to be using the yarn off your hook to connect these and then keep going to make this. Then after you get this done, you will take the one with the tail and you'll sew it to the side. So if you forget the tail, it's not a big deal. You just have to cut a piece of yarn to sew it on. But this way you only have one tail to weave in as opposed to 2. So that's the point of that. So finish through row 6 and I will meet you back here. Okay, so make 1 with a long tail, 1 with no tail. I just have that one tucked down. Then after you've done 4 of these, you have 2 and 2, one pair for each antler. You will make the first one the exact same 6 rows, and there'll be 10 single crochets. And this one you leave the yarn attached. So then you will pick up the one that has no tail, and you will place it next to the one that you are still attached to. Let's get my yarns all in the right place. Okay, now what you're going to do, using 1/2 of the stitch, each stitch has 2 bars, 2 pieces. You're going to use the outside and the outside, and you're going to do a slip stitch 3 times. And I noticed on my pattern, I have it in the parentheses, 3 slip stitch, 14 single crochet, but I didn't put times 3 in the written part. So I need to correct that and update. But what you will do is 3. So just that one side, slip stitch, that's number 2. And then the one side, slip stitch, that's number 3. And I'm going to shove that little extra pink in down there so it's out of my way. Okay. So now you have done 3 slip stitches to connect these 2. So they are now connected. And each one had 10 single crochets. So now you've used 3. So now each one has 7 remaining that are not used. So you're going to do 7 and 7 for 14. I have learned from experience that when I do this first one, it can kind of disappear, blend in. So I like to take an extra stitch marker, an extra piece of yarn, and mark this first one, just so I know exactly where I started. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the 7 on that side. So now we're going to continue over and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And now I will continue with my pink marker, kind of pull it across and then pull it through so I can continue my count. So now we've got 14. It's a little messy here for a couple rows because you're going from two bigger to together. And see, now you can see how nice it is to have that first one marked because it gets a little harder to tell right where exactly you want it to start. Excuse me. So now in row 8, you're going to start with a single crochet. And now that we've used that stitch, I can pull out that marker and get rid of that part of the mess. Then we're going to do a decrease, and I like to do the invisible decrease. So using just the front loops, do your single crochet. Then we're going to do 2 single crochet. 1, 2. Then we're going to do another single crochet decrease. So through the front loop, grab the yarn, pull it through them both, finish the single crochet. Then we're going to repeat that. And so 1 single crochet and a decrease through the front loops, pull through, finish the stitch. Then 2 single crochets, 1, 2, then the single crochet decrease. So there we go. We pull her up to keep our rows. So that is the finish of 8. So now for rows 9 through 18, you now have 10 stitches per row with that decrease. So we just do 10 around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And it gets easier each row. Things smooth out and get easier. Okay, so now you're just, going to continue the 10 single crochets around till you get to row 18. Then you are going to cut your yarn, leaving a long tail to attach the antler to the top of the head. So you need enough yarn to sew it top to the top of the head. And I always start stuffing about here, just so you don't have to try and stuff it all after it's all finished. That gets harder. So at least get the nubbies. A little bit more. I don't like it up where I'm doing my stitches because that makes it hard. Okay, so there you go. You got a good start. So now do your 18, cut it, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, I have now finished all the rows. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So now I'll leave myself a nice long tail. And I always like to pull it through and pull it to the back. or to the inside. Pull out my stitch marker. Then we will add some more stuffing. Oops, I think I went off camera there, sorry. My normal stand I accidentally broke earlier, so I'm using a different stand. So I'm sorry if I'm even more awkward than normal. Okay, so get you nicely evenly stuffed. All right, so this is the base of your antler. So now you would take that remaining nub and also stuff it. These don't have to be stuffed terribly tight, but you do want them to be, you know, just enough to hold shape. Try and get it all tucked in there. Oopsie. Sorry, I'm still here. Okay. So now we have our stuffed nub with the tail. If not, cut a piece of string, yarn, and then our antler with 2 nubs. So now what you're going to do is you're going to pick a spot, any spot that you like. I know in reality, deer antlers are not mirror images. I tend to go for that on my snugglies, but you don't have to. If you want more realism, you can put it wherever you want. So then you will take embroidery needle and get your tail through, load it up on there. Then after you pick your spot, place it where you want it, and you can pin it. This isn't so big, and I don't have big hands, but I can actually hold it, so I don't feel like I need to pin it. But if you want to pin it, pin it. And then sew it on. Oops. It's a little awkward. But nothing terrible. And the placement is not, you know, completely exactly crucial, you know, as you might feel with doing eyes or some other sewing, so that takes a little pressure off. And then you just keep sewing around till you get the last nub on. I am not a precise sewer. Hand sewing is one of my least favorite things to do. But it is a necessary evil. And you don't want it to come off, especially for kids to use. You want it to be tough. Okay, now we're back to the beginning. And when I get back to the beginning, I like to check around and make sure I am not coming loose anywhere, so that while I'm still attached, I can fix it if necessary. Then I pick a kind of hidden piece and do a knot. And then I hide this inside, run it through a couple times. And then kind of get a little tension, cut. And that is it. And now we have one antler, and you do the same thing with the other one. You start with your two together and do the base or down the main stem. Then you grab your other nub with a tail and attach it once again. And then once you have that one attached, and you can do it so it's similar. So you do have like a mirror image, or you can do it different so they're not the same. That's completely up to you. That is your own discretion. And that should take care of the antlers for you. I hope this helps. Thank you.